Hello and welcome to episode 367 of Sudden Impact Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and Jason and I are glowing about the Timberwolves today.
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm rooting for the Nuggets, to be fair.
Yeah, but we're glowing though.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for the Timberwolves just because they were a client,
yeah, of course.
and I just think uh, I said I hadn't really watched a lot of the Timberwolves. I watched a lot of Oklahoma City and other things, but you know, I came away before the playoffs with blown away by Ant Man, Anthony Edwards, and yesterday was even more dramatic and more impressive.
Yeah,
I just, yeah, he's unbelievable. He's got Jordan. He's Jordan-esque.
but nicer.
He can go. He can drive. He can go to the hoop. He can go. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the little J.
He plays hard on
Um,
defense,
he
which
plays
is
hard. He plays hard. He plays smart. Um, he's a cheerleader for his team.
yeah,
He's a Jordan was. I think people played for Jordan out of fear.
yeah,
And I think Anthony Edwards is the opposite. I think that they play because he's excited and they're excited and they like him and that's what they've got. I mean, it's unreal.
yeah.
I'm blown away.
He's got the nasty dog streak of Jordan and Kobe. I mean, Yugi said maybe not to Kobe's extent of killer, but he's got that. But he doesn't take it out on his own teammates. He takes it out on the other team. With his own teammates, he's got much more of a hug and encouragement thing, which is rare. I mean,
Yeah, rare. And then when he decides he's gonna take the team on his back, he can do it.
yeah. And if you're the
He can
NBA,
absolutely do it.
under 22, exciting American player with an oozing natural charisma. Like you couldn't ask for anything more if you're the NBA, right? Right now, it
No, and
seems like
I hope to God he plays a heavy role on the Olympic team.
yeah. I think you're gonna have. If I'm Adam Silver, I'm making. I mean, he should based on his skill, but I'm forcing it too because in a league overrun by Embiid and Jokic and Giannis and Luca and even Shea and all the Canadians like to have an under 22 American star that seems this good. It seems like this is too soon for him, but maybe it's not too soon.
No, I mean I would say he's the most charismatic, exciting American player that there is.
Yeah. And
Wow. I mean, I'm blown away.
yeah. And if you're the Nuggets, this is just a bad matchup because the Nuggets don't seem deep. My two favorite teams in this playoffs are the Knicks and the Nuggets, and they're both really 6 to 7 people deep total. And that's all they can play on their team successfully. And that's not great.
No. And I mean, Jokic has never had this many guys on one team that can come after him and alter his game and force him to do things. And I think that's a big difference maker. You got, you know, and then you got. They didn't put DeAndre Jordan in yesterday. No, he didn't play. He didn't play a lick.
You can't play
I mean,
DeAndre Jordan now.
that's his backup. But I mean, you got to give the guy a break,
Yeah.
and you gotta, he's just,
To be
I
fair,
think
he
he's
he put up
he said
yeah.
after the game maybe he has to clone himself.
To be fair, he put up a triple double basically. Oh shit, with 50%. Like he
Yeah.
still had a Jokic game, but
No.
nobody else came to play
I'll
on
tell
their
you
team.
what, though. I said this to you yesterday. We were texting back and forth. Every time he gets the ball, it's a foul, either on him or him. He does that dribble, push, dribble, push, dribble, push, and that forearm is moving the entire time. He's moving people out of the way.
But he's getting
You know what I mean?
slapped the shit out of every time too.
And he is, but
Yeah.
still, that move is not. That should not be a legit move. I mean, that's an offensive foul.
No, it's legitimate basketball.
No, 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 no.
You got your Timberwolves
Maybe
bias is
I'm
going
just
through.
maybe I'm too old school.
Well, he's plays old school. That's why you should like him.
No, I'm playing Naismith rules, and that's not it. And then
Okay.
I'm watching everybody palm and double,
Yeah.
step and everything else. It's different, but I mean, I don't like the fact that they totally referee and call things differently in the playoffs than they did in the regular season.
Yeah,
I
it's
just think
been
you got to do it all the way.
the playoffs have been very, very physical. Um,
Very physical. The Knicks Sixers series was one of the most physical series I've seen, and
yeah,
I expect the Knicks Pacers to be the same way.
yeah, and you have some fiery people on both. I mean, that's one. I guess we could probably shift. Do you want to shift? Let's do the other West series because it's really
Yeah,
exciting.
Well, Oklahoma City Dallas is going to be that's a finesse series. There's not a lot of physicality in that series.
No.
That's run gun, execute, finesse, which I like. I mean, it'll be a fast paced game. I mean, I could see games like 120 to 115 or 130 to 120.
You know what one sort of crazy thing is? Because people think of the Celtics as being an older team just because they do have Drew Holiday and Porzingis, but I mean, Brown and Tatum are both young, right?
Yeah.
The Cavs are a young team. The Knicks are a young team. The Pacers are a very young team. Oklahoma City, Dallas are young teams. I mean, technically, at 28, Jokic is one of the oldest players in the playoffs. It's star at this point, right?
Yeah.
And if you're, I mean, again, that's great for the NBA.
I think so too. You got some young, very, very exciting teams.
So Oklahoma City is hosting Dallas. They start tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching it. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a lot of young talent, a lot of established talent on the Dallas team.
Yeah.
The only is the moment too big for Oklahoma City? That's what we're going to find out.
I don't think it is. I think they're going to win in 5. I think they have so many Jalen Williamses. They have 2 of those just to throw at Luka alone or Kyrie, whoever they want. Gilgeous-Alexander can play. Dallas doesn't have anybody that can really hurt them inside, which is sort of their weak spot. Mm-hmm. And I like the home court. I like the fact that they were the number 1 seed in the West. I think they're going to win in 5.
Okay.
I really like Oklahoma City.
I'm hoping with you. I would love to see an Oklahoma City, Minnesota Western Conference Finals.
And that's pretty likely at this point.
I mean, I don't know how the networks feel about, talk about, there's no LA team left. If the Knicks go down, there's no New York team.
Yeah.
And then you get all that criticism of the small markets. But hey, those are the fun teams to watch.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think, over the last 3 years of everybody talking about how much Jokic isn't exciting, I think people have come around mainstream wise to him. I think people are, you listen to podcasts and Sports Center and YouTube clips, like people are all over the Ant. He's beloved already.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think, we got Shea, Jay Williams, and Chet are pretty exciting. Obviously, people know Luka, people know Kyrie. The Knicks Pacers almost has the least amount of star power, right? You get Brunson.
Yeah, I would say that's the least by far. Yeah, that's absolutely the least star power matchup.
You have the history of, Reggie.
It's a good history. I mean, it's a nice rivalry, and it's kind of fun that it's back there.
Well, we
got to see how the Pacers are going to adjust to playing in the Garden.
Yeah.
Which is, if there is home court advantage, that's the one court I think has the most home court advantage.
Well, we talked because I helped you guys move into your house. We were in together watching some Knicks games. Their offense is scary because it's so pathetic, right?
Yeah, it's one guy.
It looks like it's just 6 foot tall Jalen Brunson just trying to make a shot happen. Because
an occasional 3 by DiVincenzo.
Yeah, Josh Hart
the Villanova core.
Yeah. And Josh Hart occasionally getting big rebounds at 6'4" and then making a huge 3, but then missing free throws that would have won the game in the week before. And then, you love Hartenstein and you love Mitchell Robinson because they play their asses off. They play great defense. They rebound. But they're both liabilities with the ball in their hand. Like, you can get them on open lobs, but you don't want to get them the ball in the post. And we saw even with Mitchell Robinson, like a bounce pass is kind of hard for him to handle. And then there's no Randall. As much as people malign Randall, he would be helpful as another scorer because he can actually do that. And with the Pacers, you have Naismith and Halliburton and T.J. McConnell, Roy. It's.
I gotta admit, I love T.J. McConnell's game.
I know you do.
He makes things happen. He's a hustler. I loved him when he was a Sixer, and I thought that was a mistake for the Sixers to let him go. Because he's the kind of player they need with that team. Because he would make Embiid so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at, we'll talk about the teams that were eliminated, but we'll get to them in a second. But yeah, Shout out to the Pacers GM also for not trading Miles Turner, because Miles Turner has been in trade rumors for I don't know his entire career.
Yeah,
And
3 years anyhow.
3 years anyhow, yeah. And just realizing like he's a big with size and skill, and we're gonna hold on to him. We'll make it work. And it's almost the same in Minnesota. You got to give that guy a shout out. Like people didn't like the way that team was built, and they almost won the West
There's
this
a
year.
lot of criticism of the Rudy Gobert trade.
Yeah, and the holding on to Carl
That
Anthony.
looks pretty good right now, doesn't it?
It does, and holding on to Carl Anthony Towns because people just kept thinking, you got to trade him because he's losing value, losing value. But where you said Jordan sort of ruled with an iron fist and fear, right? I feel like a lot of what we're seeing from Towns this year, where you're seeing some of those aggressive drives, and he still does the stupid fouls, but it's okay because you got Nas Reed and you got Gobert, you've got plenty of size. But the fire that Karl Anthony Towns is playing with, I think you got to give some of that to Ant, like being a supportive teammate, being somebody that's like, this is me and Towns' team, we got this, we're taking it all, like including him, and as the former face of the franchise and not shitting on, like
Yeah,
it's been great.
This is a franchise that has done nothing in 20 years.
Yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, they look really good. And I think that they believe. And when you believe, it's a big difference.
Huge difference. I guess our last one is Boston, Cleveland. Cleveland snuck in after beating Magic in 7 last night.
And I just don't understand. I was watching that game, and the Magic was up 18.
Yeah.
And you blew an 18-point lead and then lost by, what, 12? 10, 12?
Yeah, it got ugly.
Yeah, that's like a 30-point swing. I mean, the second half of the game, the Magic couldn't do anything.
No. Well, we're going to play a game I didn't tell you about. We'll talk about if we were the GM of all the teams that lost. So we can start with the Magic. If you're the Magic, you've got this nice young nucleus, right?
The youngest team in the league, I think.
Youngest team in the league. You clearly have a type. You love big, long players. But you definitely lack shooting, and you probably need another scorer, right? Another person that can...
Right.
Because it doesn't look like Jalen Suggs is ever going to be that guy. He's more of a 6th, 7th guy off the bench, right?
Yeah, and he played decent yesterday.
He did.
But he had moments. But, I mean, yeah, he's a... to be drafted that high and be a... I think being 6 is generous. Being a 7th man.
Yeah.
And then he also had Markelle Fultz, who was the number 1 pick in the entire draft. And he's what, the 8 guy, the 9 guy?
Yeah. And Franz, and then Franz looked like he took a step back this year. I don't know if I don't know if he can be your second best player. So when you look at the landscape, I mean, the cheap option for them would be like a Malik Monk, right? Where they could probably offer more than most teams, and Monk would give them some at least some shooting to go alongside Paolo.
Paolo was outstanding yesterday.
Yeah.
But no help.
No help, yeah.
But yeah, they need something. They need an outside threat.
But you're not signing
a consistent, legitimate outside threat.
But you're not going to make that Klay Thompson, right?
No, God no.
And you don't want Paul George going into year 15 with the steel plate in his leg. You're not going to pay him the king's ransom.
I don't want any of those guys. I want a young guy that's a good shooter on the come. That's what I want.
That's why I like Malik Monk for them. I think they can offer him sort of a top-loaded contract that other teams won't match. And I think, he was up for 6th man of the year this year. He's a good shooter. And I think he's always been kind of undervalued.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hop to we'll go to the next series. The Heat lost. Jimmy Butler talked a lot, including talking about wanting a big extension. If you're the Heat culture, what are you doing?
Well, they need a point guard. They need a piece.
Yeah.
And they don't have it. They did everything they could to get Dame, and they weren't able to get Dame. Although now, I think if they want Dame, they can get Dame.
I think they could get Dame if they wanted Dame, yeah.
I think Milwaukee's in an interesting position. They got to take a hard look at who they are and what they are and figure it out. But if I'm Miami, I'd go after Dame because you need that piece. You don't have it.
Are you giving Butler the 3-year, $112 million he wants?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because he hasn't
really
been healthy for 2 seasons now.
No, and yeah, I don't know if I'd go that high. I mean, And I don't know. I don't know what the market is for him either.
Yeah. I think if the next team we're going to talk about is the Sixers. And, you once again kind of had the exact same season you have every year, right? You were really good in the regular season.
Except you didn't win. You didn't win your first series.
Yeah,
You didn't even do that.
You didn't even do that, yeah. But, Tyrese Maxey looks like an absolute star. As much as we give Ant the love, Maxey's also had a coming out party this year.
Yep.
But you have Embiid, who now also has Bell's palsy, to add into all the injuries. And he's 32 going into next season.
And I know who would overpay for him.
Yeah?
Yep, the Clippers. They would definitely overpay for him.
They would. Would you pivot from Embiid, knowing what because he's gotten a lot of passes because you had Ben Simmons on his team when he also played bad in that series, right? But he wasn't Ben Simmons bad. And then you had him with Harden. And Harden was the worst of the Harden's the one that completely disappeared, but Embiid was still bad in those series. And then you have the fact that he's rarely available for you in the playoffs. I know he's an incredible offensive player. When he's healthy, he's a very good defensive player. But I think I would want to hear what I could get for Embiid this year if I'm the Sixers.
There's definitely a market for him. But like I said, LA, and let's just, since I brought him up, let's talk about the Clippers.
Yeah.
That team's got to do something.
Well, they've already committed to Kawhi, right? He's already got his extension.
Yep.
Then you have Harden and Paul George, I think, are both restricted. And Westbrook is a free agent. I don't think they care about Westbrook. I think he was really valuable to them, but I don't know if that's, a key to them. But are you bringing back Harden? Are you bringing back George?
No, I'm not bringing back either of them.
Okay.
But especially not bringing back George. He's just too long in the tooth.
Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, when I heard the announcer say in his 14th season, I was like, Paul George, 14 years? That's crazy.
No, you got to move on. I mean, they're opening up that fantastic new arena. They've got to invest, and they got to divest and invest at the same time.
Yeah. I think as bad as that situation is, you are in LA and you're going to a new stadium. We kind of touched on them briefly, but let's visit the last team that got eliminated in the East, and that's Milwaukee. I don't think they can trade any pick next year or the year after. I don't think they have any swaps left. I don't think they have any second-round picks left. And you have Dame, Giannis, and Middleton's over 35. Brook Lopez is closer to 40. And I just don't think any of those other... they played Daniel Gallinari. Well, was getting minutes for them in this playoff series. I don't know where you go if you're the Bucks. Because
you got a question. The Dame move did not work out. The injuries killed you, but now you're going to get to the point where those injuries are going to become more and more as you get older. Those injuries just more and more frequent, more and more common.
And we didn't even mention that you had Budenholzer, you won the chip, you fired him, you brought in Adrian Griffin. Players seemed to revolt within 5 minutes of him getting the job, so you fire him. You brought in Doc Rivers, who did not account himself very well as a person or a professional coach this last year. And they were one and done. And it's hard to say if the players liked him. I don't think, it seems like he's taken a beating in the media.
I don't know how many years they gave Doc, but that was a mistake hire to begin with. That was a panic hire.
So you could be going, you potentially could be going your fourth coach in 2 years with that. That's a brutal spot to be in, right?
I agree.
Actually, almost every team we have to talk about is pretty brutal because now we can go to the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Everything is invested basically in 3 players, and Grayson Allen is where your money is spent. I saw anonymous GM say that you would have to attach a first-round pick to get rid of Bradley Beal, and that might even be enough because that contract is so bad.
Yeah. That was a mistake trade.
Yeah.
That was just stupid, but it is what it is. You have Devin Booker, who is legitimately, he and KD are that team and nothing else. That's the
right.
team.
And Booker is another, 26, 27-year-old American player that's phenomenal. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you do if you're the Suns to have any different results than you had this year. The Mavs aren't going anywhere. The Nuggets aren't going anywhere. The Clippers, the Thunder. I mean,
No, you missed your window.
you missed your window,
You missed
right?
your window.
Because
So you blow it up, or what do you do?
I, I would see if I would want to know what Katie's stock is worth. I would be focusing on trying to keep Booker happy and build my team around Booker for the next 5 years.
Well, this is an owner that will spend and go over the cap and go into the tax.
Yeah,
There's no question about that.
they just don't have a lot. I mean, they're sort of in the same position that the Clippers are in and the Bucks are in, where they've already gone all in with their chips, and it didn't work. So now you're standing there going, well, how are we supposed to be competitive when everybody else is getting better and we don't have anything to go get better with? And you sort of have to sit.
Let's talk about the Lakers.
Let's talk about them.
In search of a coach.
Yeah,
Again.
again.
So I've heard Tyronn Lue mentioned.
Who's come out and said,
Instant replay kind of a thing.
yeah. I've heard JJ Redick, LeBron's
JJ
podcast
Redick.
buddy. I think it's going to be tough to get a coach to go there, and I would say because I know the Lakers have a few assets they can probably, they can package. I think the 28 and 30 picks this year, and then I think they have a swap in 27 and 29, so they have some ammunition. Whether or not they'd want to get rid of Austin Reeves as part of that deal to sweeten it up to get a big name in there, I don't know. But at the same time, Anthony Davis played over 70 games this year, and that's a rarity. LeBron played 72 games. You were a really good team, and you just still weren't good enough. And
Yeah.
I don't think you can expect another AD season like you got, right? This was the anomaly year where he stayed healthy, played over 70 games, won the in-season tournament, was a legitimate All-NBA player again, and it just doesn't seem like that's likely.
Well, let me tell you what my thought is.
Okay.
We haven't had one for quite a while. But bring back the player coach and just let LeBron do it.
I mean, I think that's fantastic.
I would say that's what it is anyhow.
Yeah.
So why save everybody the aggravation? Let him pick a couple assistants to work with him and make him the player coach. The Celtics did it before. I think Lenny Wilkins was a player coach when he was with the Sonics. I know that Bill Russell was a player coach. Hey, let it happen.
Now, I assume you can't secretly pay LeBron James the veteran's minimum as a player and then give him the most ridiculous deal as a coach and hide that way, right? You can't do it that way, right?
I don't know. The times I was talking about, there wasn't a cap. So this is uncharted water.
Yeah. Because, I mean, everybody would know what you're doing, but if he is legitimately the head coach, I don't think you could, you could say anything, really.
No. Interesting times.
Yeah. And then it's also that, when they win, whether you're the coach or a teammate, LeBron is going to get all the love. You're going to get none of the love. When you lose, you're probably going to get fired in this team. You're probably going to lose. And then, we talked about one of the great things that seems to separate Ant from some of the other great players is that he seems to, he's a dog that loves. He's like a dog in general, like, right?
Yeah.
He's got the protective streak and the badass streak, but, Anthony, whereas LeBron James is putting everybody in trade rumors, passive aggressively saying stuff, and that's not good for team chemistry, right?
No.
And you look at Denver, Oklahoma City, Minnesota. All three of those teams seem like they really like each other. The Knicks team seems like they really have fun playing together, right?
I've never seen anything like the Oklahoma City team,
No.
other than like the high school team.
And the Lakers, people, Shaq and some of the other players are like, look, it's the pros, it's business, it's just business. And it's like, it is, but it is a team sport, and you are generating, I think when you're constantly in rumors that LeBron puts people in and, been thrown under the bus, I don't think that's good for you, no matter how professional you are,
No, I agree.
And then the last team to talk about is my hometown team currently, the Pelicans. who, you know, what do you do?
They had a nice season.
Very nice.
Zion gets hurt at the wrong time because he's a difference maker. I mean, he's a legit absolute difference maker if he can
He
stay healthy.
he's incredible. I mean, everything we said about Ant, like Zion when healthy brings some of that just awe and excitement, and you can't wait to watch him. But you don't always get to watch him, and you've watched him in I think it's now less than 50% of the games he's been available for over the course of almost 6 years now.
Yeah.
And then you have Brandon Ingram, who, you know, are you sticking with Brandon Ingram? Or are you trying to move him and change some things around, get a different team around him?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, Wimby is. I just really want him to be healthy because I want to see what that creature is in a few years.
Yeah.
Because he's just absolutely insane to watch.
Totally. He's ridiculous.
Yeah, Daryl Morey has been quoted back to our Sixers talks. It's just he said there'll be a lot of changes.
Yeah, but a lot of the changes that he wants to make,
Yeah,
he's got to find a buyer for.
I know. And then
And that's
replace those players. I mean, I thought Kelly Oubre was pretty good for them, you know?
yeah.
And again, I know they have money, but it's like, do you want to give that money to Paul George when one of the other players is already, Joel Embiid, and that you're going to go with two seemingly always hurt people? There's not a lot of guys out there,
I
right?
see how you do that.
And it doesn't seem like LeBron James is making the move to Philly. Safe
I
to say.
don't think there's any way that's happening.
No. It seems like he's going to stay in LA. They probably will draft Bronny. They can do a lot of viral stuff, get a lot of marketing deals, and, hope he gets someone to come play with him in Los Angeles. But, yeah.
I mean, they were a decent team. They just ran up against the Nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of the story of this whole playoffs is like when you look at the West, like even though Golden State is clearly not what Golden State used to be, like I wouldn't have wanted to see Golden State as the 10th seed in a game, right?
No.
I mean, they still have Steph, they still have Draymond, they still have Clay, like they can still get stuff done. I mean, we're talking about the Steph Curry's team was the 10th best team in the West. And it's just, I don't know if it's bad luck or what it is, but it's rough.
The West is tough. The West is tough.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and I'm gonna go Boston, New York, Boston.
I think
I'm gonna
that's
go Boston. That's where I'm gonna go.
yeah, I would have to see something very different from the Nuggets in game 2 for me to change my tune. They just they don't look as deep, and I don't think it's a good thing that you have that many Reggie Jackson minutes in a playoff game.
No, I don't either.
I mean, that's, and if Jamal Murray is going to be, like I said, they have enough guys that make you work the entire time. They've got a deep team, and they're picking up guys full court like it's a, old school, high school rec kind of game, right?
Yeah.
And if you're making a guy with an already sore calf and Jamal Murray work to even get the ball into half court, and you can do that, that's tough. That's really tough. Yeah.
Let's see. Moving on. Shohei Ohtani had a nice week, hitting some serious bombs. He's got 10 dinners now. and he's been hitting them like 450, 480 feet. I mean, he's crushing the ball.
Yeah, which is great to see.
I mean, he stepped into his own. That's a serious designated hitter.
Indeed, it is.
I have to point out that my Oklahoma State Cowgirls took 2 out of 3 from defending national champion Oklahoma. And nice. Oklahoma State took 2 out of 3 from Texas and 2 out of 3 from Oklahoma. And yet Texas is the 1 seed, Oklahoma's the 2 seed, Oklahoma State's the 3 seed in the Big 12 tournament.
That's rough.
Yeah. They stubbed their toe on it at Iowa State where they shouldn't have lost any games. They lost 2.
Yeah. I have a sports entertainment merger. It's on Netflix. I did watch the Tom Brady roast.
Okay.
If you enjoy roasts, and if you know, roasts are going to be cruel comedy for anyone listening at home that may not know what a roast is. They're going to be some pretty mean, hard-hitting jokes. And that's our mom and the dogs in the background. I would say as far as roasts go, there's some really funny moments. I mean, Bob Kraft is there. Belichick is there. Gronkowski. Sam J. Nikki Glazer. Like, it's Kevin Hart. I think you'll have a good time, and there's some very train-wrecking moments that are worth watching.
Okay.
And I actually have a food moment, too.
Oh, good. Which food moment?
We had a Gold Belly credit we had to use. So I got T-Rex cookies from Minnesota. Have you heard of T-Rex cookies?
No, what is it?
Well, they're giant cookies. And we got the variety pack, which is chocolate chip. We got the monster cookie, which is like a peanut butter M&M hybrid, and then we have a regular chocolate chip. And what I like about them is they come in bags of 4, and they're just frozen, so you can take them out one at a time. So you're not, like sometimes the Gold Belly, you got a giant cake or a giant pie.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
You can sparse these out one cookie at a time, and they're pretty big cookies. They're probably at least 6 inches in diameter, and they're just really tasty cookies. But like I said, we made one of each, and now we've got 9 cookies left in the freezer that we can just, occasionally bring out and cook one, which is pretty cool.
So a chocolate chip?
Yeah, and it's,
one of my favorite flavors.
You know what it tastes like? Do you remember those weird, like, extra large chocolate cookies you got that had the sugar sprinkled on top?
Yeah, I love those.
It tastes like those.
Oh, that's a good cookie.
Yeah, it's an outstanding cookie. We got them when they were on sale, so we got a dozen. We got the 3-pack variety pack for like $60, but they're normally a little bit more than that. But again, it's nice to be able to just break off a giant cookie like once a week, bake it, and then you're not committing to a giant. We're eating dessert for the next 3 meals.
So how giant is the cookie? Is it like a coffee plate?
It's like a small plate. Yeah, I would say so.
Whoa, that's a big cookie.
But it's not super high.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
Is it crispy and chewy, or just crispy, or just chewy?
So far it's been crispy on the outside, very chewy in the middle.
Okay.
But, it's one of those things where, you're cooking it from frozen, and you're only cooking it, normally you cook it at like 325 to 350.
You have to cook them.
Yeah. It's raw dough.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you're baking a fresh cookie each time. But you're taking a frozen puck, and you're cooking it for over 35 minutes in the oven, which is pretty rare for a cookie, because cookies usually like 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could get it if you wanted. I think if you want it crispier, they say just leave it longer than than they tell you to put it in there for. But this is, they tell you how they serve it in Minneapolis. So.
And what's it called? T-Rex?
Yeah, T-Rex cookies.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people will enjoy. I mean, like I said, if you're looking for something, sort of fun and different, and like I said, they're really good cookies. So we had all 3, and they're delicious. So.
I'm going to go right to the website when I get done.
Okay.
I did not have an entertainment moment, and I did not have a food moment because we were doing all this moving.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Although we did try, what did we talked about last week, though. We tried the spun chickens.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we tried that was new.
And barbecue's barbecue, but we're kind of out on that one.
Yeah, kind of on that one.
Yeah.
You had your Liam's Bistro though.
I did have Liang's. Yeah, that's a great Chinese restaurant. Um, I don't know what to say. It's in the Tampa. It's on Veterans. If you go there, you will not be disappointed. They've won tons of awards too. They're all over you know, the protein quality is outstanding. Is what I would say.
Good to hear.
Nothing against other Chinese food, but there are times where you get some very dark, gristly pieces of meat mixed in your General Tso's or whoever kind of chicken you're getting, and this place is the opposite of that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's probably it for this week, right?
Yeah, not a lot going on. I mean, a new winner in the Miami F1. When I did cut to that, it's in Tom Garfinkel, who is the head of the Dolphins and head of all the connections like the Miami F1 and the tennis tournament. He is one of those rare people that he can dream it up and then make it happen. I mean, this F1 event in Miami has come from nowhere to being one of the top F1 events in the world.
Yeah.
So,
That sport is
kudos to him.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of marketing F1 and building a fan base. And
Yeah, but I mean, they've got these $200 nachos. I mean, it's crazy down there. But it's Miami. You have to remember it's Miami.
exactly. All right, so I
All
guess
right, everybody. We'll have a good week. Enjoy the playoffs, and we've got women's softball playoffs starting. We've got men's college baseball winding down. Good NHL playoffs. Again, I keep waiting for a Canadian team to emerge, and the Maple Leafs are out.
yeah.
So I think you're down to Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. You are indeed. All right, we'll talk to you soon.